Shambhu Mahade. Maharshi says the importance of the Om, the primal vibrations and the divine power. Total explanation of Omkara is very difficult to ascertain. Many scientists, many Maharishis, many Tapasvis have experimented and discovered various things. The ultimate truth of this is revealed only once one reaches the higher consciousness. This being a form and function of the higher consciousness. Unless we reach the higher consciousness, we will not be in a position to understand. By hearting, by reading, by knowing, this cannot be understood. Just understanding a simple word of O-M in English or Om like this is not the answer for this. In the position of a bud of lotus, it looks different. It does not reveal its functions. Its full glory has not been found out. But when it blooms and spreads, then only one realizes how complicatedly and systematically the petals are arranged. Very precise. You measure them, it will be absolutely, to millimeter correction. Very precise. Not only one, all of them. Each one that comes. All in the same angle, same length, same arrangements. Prakritya, it's natural, it comes. Who arranged these petals like this? One over the other and exact overlapping. See, if there is any undulation or if there is any mistake in that, your eyes can immediately see that, you see. But you look at that flower, you cannot make out it is symmetrical. All arrangements are so beautifully well done. Same way, if the consciousness is in the state of bud, it is enclosed, doesn't know how this arrangement has been done. When it is closed, we don't know how the arrangement has been done. Unless it blooms, how can it bloom? In order to bloom, it needs certain circumstantial comforts for that. It's a comfort for the lotus to bloom is that moonlight, sunlight, water. There are so many variants are there. Under these circumstances, it slowly and beautifully opens up its true nature and reveals the absolute precision, arrangement and beauty of that flower. The consciousness, development of consciousness is like that. There is no flaw. There cannot be a flaw. Nobody can afford to have a flaw in that. If there is a flaw, it can be immediately identified. It won't look beautiful. It won't look symmetrical. It won't look systematic. It won't look that arranged. Here the arrangement becomes natural. How this arrangement becomes natural, technically speaking, Technically, for anything, if it has to be well settled arrangement, it has to be slowly in the speed. I am talking. Slow means in the speed. It has to be slowly, consciously, without any attractions to the environments, has to open up. Then only the symmetrical opening can take place. That too, all the layers from the external to the internal have to grow in the same speed. If one is faster than the other, there will be crookedness. There will be an entanglement. This is how one should grow from lower consciousness to higher consciousness. Constant, precise, slow, and rigid, without any deviations, only concentrating on its own functions and speed and truth and the beauty, and through the relaxation. There is no strain for a flower to opening up. When you look at it, there are some people who have set cameras, and you must have seen in some of the movies they have taken, movie cameras they have taken, the flower blooming. You must have seen that. You set a camera and then they slowly, petal by petal, it moves. It's so systematic. Who taught them? It's a nature, it's a prakriti. An inherent capability of growing by itself. And at last it blooms at its full and spreads as if that's the most beautiful thing in the world. And very proudly stands for others to look at it and amaze and astonished. No? That's the same amazement and astonishment one gets when a Maharishi or Tapasvi grows in the consciousness from lower consciousness to higher consciousness and blooms his own absolute jnanam and reveals it and stands out. The universe, even the Lord, it's amazed by looking at it. Bhagavan also sees that the growth of the tapasvi, how beautiful, how systematic. Is why even Maharishis or tapasvis, great Maharishis, are respected by the devatas. They pray to them. They behave very well with them. It's because of that. Why did I say this? Not to tell you about the poetic explanation of a flower blooming. I think that better poets can do it much better than me, no doubt. They can explain it wonderfully well. It's not the purpose of them, but I'm inspired by that, no doubt about it. It is meant for. I somehow looked at it. In my vision, I looked at it from how we should grow from the lower consciousness to higher consciousness with full comfort and bloom and slow and steady, without attending anybody, without drawing anybody's attention. Stand in full bloom for the amazement of others. Is how one has to grow. Is why DHYANAM, is why spirituality, is why the necessity of uplifting yourself from the lower consciousness to higher consciousness, where Ishvara Pranidhanam or Brahma Sakshatkaram is necessary. Entangled with the sansaric jiva, entangled with the grahastha-ashrama, succumbing to the pressures of the externalities, one remains as a bud, that's all. It cannot bloom. It cannot reveal itself. It's a revelation of the self. It cannot reveal itself. succumbing to the pressures. How the pressures? Pressures are assumed, pressures are. But it has been proved that if the flower can bloom with all the obstacles of the externalities, an individual, a Jivatma, can overcome the pressures of externalities and also objective thoughts and objective perception, and grow subjectively, and at last renounce the subjectivity also. Unless he renounces the subjectivity, he will not be in a position to freely project himself in full bloom. Even the subjectivity. This has to come. Is what we have to understand from this chanting of Om and vibrations, which creates the blooming of the lower consciousness to higher consciousness. Is why the Maharshi said, Tad japastadarthava bhavanam. Constant japa. Tad japasta. Sadartha bhavanam. Constant repetition of the Om chanting leads to samadhi, leads one to samadhi. There are various methods of Omkara. Focusing on the abstract is more difficult than focusing on the concrete images of Ishvara. However, because of repetition of the Om produces the thought waves which corresponds to highest form of vibrational frequencies, allows you to develop and arrange these thought forms in order to have the vision of the Ishvaratva. As the flower, why did I say about the lotus flower bloom? You have to please relate with whatever I am going to speak. That is why in introduction I speak that, because that is related to that subject what we are speaking. In the same manner, as the flower blooms gradually and slowly, even though the external pressures and external obstacles are there, but in its own process, by slow and gradual, it blooms same way. A person who internally as well as externally chanting and listening to Om in the right manner, they said, in the right manner, Omkara has to be pronounced right. With Nabi, navel area, that is Hara Chakra, heart chakra and throat chakra and the tongue and the lips have its own functions, and they have to be properly oriented and expressed. Whether it is internally chanted or externally chanted, all these functions will take place. This is called the gradual and systematic revelation of the vibrational frequencies. And they should be, then only that systematic progress will be there. Any jerks in between, you can imagine. As I told you, when the flower, when it jerks, what happens? It gets distorted. It doesn't, it's a destruction. It is no more blooming. It's not progress, same way. The inner consciousness, when you have understood this is when you understood the lower consciousness. As I told in the previous class, one who is entangled and enjoying and determined to be in the sansaric Jivan with Vyavaharika Jivan, he will not be in a position to regulate his consciousness in order to attain the super consciousness. Vedavyasa very clearly explains about the, not only Vedavyasa, everybody, Yoga, Yogesh, Bhagavan Krishna, or many great people, all knowledge people have told that it is the regularity and the intensity of brahmacharyatva that you follow and gain the strength will lead you towards the proper leading of your grihasthashrama, vanaprastha and sannyasashrama. Therefore, the brahmacharya, practicing of the brahmacharyatva is the most important. Brahmacharyatva in the sense acquiring the knowledge, absolute knowledge. Brahman, Brahma Acharyatvam. That means Acharana of the Brahman. Acharana of the Brahman in the sense, not individual. There is no individual called Brahma. Highest consciousness, the absolute. We don't know what is its form. There may be a form for Brahman. We don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody could explain. From which point all this consciousness is exposed and explained. There has to be a beginning for everything. It may be that is called Brahman. But as far as one who can draw an inference about Brahman, that's all. We cannot see and explain and draw. This is called Brahman. When you draw the inference, we see that it is all-pervading, omnipresence, omnipotent, omniscient, we call it. When we call that, it is all over. That means there is no specific form and shape in which it sustains. But the Vedic science itself says that if it has to be spread somewhere, if it has to be omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent, and if it has to be there has to be a beginning point of it. Which is my interpretation of it. I have not read it anywhere, and I have not seen it also. It's what I am thinking. That there has to be a spark from where this spreads all over. I would call that spark as Brahman. Individual opinion, I may be wrong. Maybe I have to find out that. Well, whatever it is, Brahman is the consciousness. It is not a form and a shape. It is not that. So there cannot be. We can, as he said in abstract, focusing on the abstract is most difficult. It is not possible to look at all the Brahmandas and identify Brahman. It's not possible. Therefore, a shape and form of Lord has been created, and gradually, because of this chanting of Om from internal source, like giving the, even when you chant internal Om, there's a powerful chanting of internal Om. A yogi, when he sits in the yoga, probably he is chanting an Om internally, and which becomes a regular feature without his effort that is happening. That the Om starting from the Navi, from the Mooladhara chakra or the Swadhisthana chakra, from the creativity level, that sound which evolves from here, that's why I said from the spark it comes out. That's how it comes. So from here it begins. It begins and then it expands. The more you come up, it expands. All-pervading, omnipotent, omnipresent. From where? It begins from here. That's why I said from a spark it begins. As the flower blooms, it blooms from the tip, not from the bottom. No. From a point, it has to begin, it has to break. In order to break, there has to be a pressure created. If the bud has to break externally, there has to be pressure created internally. Am I right? An external pressure will only close it, an internal pressure will open it up. Same way, an internal pressure has to be created in the lower consciousness so that it expands towards the higher consciousness and opens it up, like a lotus. Lotus has got a lot of importance in its functions, in its look, in its arrangements, in its performance, in its living, in its beginning, its birth. Everything is compared with the spirituality, the lotus flower. Internally, there has to be a pressure developed in order to resist the external pressure. Even though the bud and the tip of the bud is so small, and the bud itself is only so small, external pressure is so high, but it creates a moment in order to resist all the external pressures and bloom as it wants, not according to the environments and circumstances. Any pressure that is developed from inside, any vibrational frequency that is developed from inside, that's why they said, they give a lot of examples of the antaryamo, antaryami, antaryamam and all that. So that's why a lot of explanations have been given. This can be created. Why? Because from the Sukshma Sharira, this can be created so that from where the Stulata comes from the Sukshmata. When it is expanded, it becomes the Stulata. That's all. But from the Sukshmata, this can be developed. In a smaller unit, when a pressure is created internally, as a cyclone, this cannot contain that pressure. When it cannot contain that pressure, automatically what happens? The pressure that is developed inside, being a concentrated from in a smaller area, and an external area is spread all over, the pressure that is created, even though external pressure might be high, but momentarily, for a moment, let us call it as a moment. For a moment, that pressure created inside is much, much higher than the external pressure, is why the flower breaks and blooms. Alright? Same way, in the externalities of the Stulata, even though there is pressure, from the inner self, when these creations are created, when the vibrations are created, it creates an enormous pressure inside, and it develops from the lower consciousness to higher consciousness, and it travels from the Sukshmata to Stulata. From the Sukshmata to Stulata is the purpose, is how the Tapasvi or Jnani identifies the Stula Bhava. The Stulata is that all over, spread all over. In order to have the vision of the complete Stula Bhava, that's why Vishwarupam they called it. Stula Bhava, Vishwarupam. The whole Vishwa is the Rupa. The whole Brahmanda is the number of Brahmandas are the Rupa. In order to visualize that, from your Sukshmata, you are in a Sukshma Bhava actually. From your Sukshmata, you have to develop it to Stulata. Don't try it. You have to spread, you have to come out of this entangled body, you have to break all the chains of that, You have seen that the eggs, when the eggs come out of, chicks come out of the egg, how it breaks the eggs and then come out of it. From the Sukshma Bhava, what was it? It was in the Bhruna Avastha. From the Bhruna Avastha, it becomes in a form and shape, that means Sthula Avastha. The barriers that has been created or entanglement that has been created by them, it breaks and comes to Sthula Avastha. That's all. Same way. Your Sharira, your Mana, your thoughts, Your vrittis are all like that shell of the egg. In order to bring, to come out of that shell, that's why we came, come out of the shell. The term is used because of that. To come out of the shell of this, which you think it is important and safe, and then dependent and cozy, not trying out, not venturing out because you are confined within this shell, feels absolute security, even though you know how thick is the shell, how easily it can be broken, how the bird can come and peck that shell and then eat away all that. That he doesn't understand. Sitting inside, we think the external of ours is very strong, nothing can be done. It is so fragile. It can be broken when a strong wind comes. Same way, our thoughts, our forms, our sharira, our conception, our perception, they are all very thin as the shell. We have to break that sukshma avastha. From the bhruna avastha, we have to create that pressure and bloom ourselves and grow ourselves and come out of the shell and then spread to the sthula avastha, so that you can be merging with the sthulata. Is how that you are this pancha pranas and creating. Who creates this pressure inside you? These pancha pranas. That's why prana yamam they call it. The pranas are creating the pressure. Pancha bhutas are the ones which are the shells which are protecting that, allows it to function. The pancha pranas are the ones which are creating. So, samana or the apana. From the apana, it has to slowly create the pressure. So, see, you can link it now. Mooladhara is the seat of Kundalini. Slowly awakening through the Sushumna, coming to Sahasra Chakra, and from the Sthula Bhava, from the Sukshma Bhava to Sthula Bhava. Sahasra is exposed to this. Same way, Apana, Samana, Prana, Vyana, Udana, Prana, Udana. And coming to the Udana, reaching the Udana, from the Apana, this status, this creation of the pressure, so awakening of Kundalini, or awakening of Apana, or Samana. Awakening, and through Sushumna awakening is called creating the pressure inside in order to develop the Antakarana, or the inner consciousness, or the lower consciousness to higher consciousness. This is the purpose. This is how what explanation I have given from the bud to the flower. Same way, you from the Sukshma avastha to Sthula avastha you develop by creating these vibrations. Now when the Apana or the Mooladhara chakra is subtle, dormant, and these chakras are not functioning, or these pranas are not functioning properly, evoluting properly or vibrating properly, what happens? They are all stagnant or moving very slowly, only for the purpose of the function of the physical body. That's all. It cannot. So what happens? Because of the previous karmas, the experiences of that, what creates thought forms in our mind, is accumulated in our udana, and they are mastering the complete activities of the human being, giving directions to the mind depending upon the previous experience or previous karmas, and leading you towards that path, doesn't have an opportunity to deviate from the path. There is no way. In order to make that deviation possible, you have to create a lot of things. What is that? There are a few things, not only one. It's not only one path, one way. One is that we have to understand. The knowledge has to be there. That knowledge has to be Shravana, Manana, Smarana. So Shravana, Smarana, Manana. That has to go one way. And along with that, you also have to create the Pancha Pranas, development from the Apana to Udana. By chanting of Om, by pranayam, by chanting of Om, by even through meditation, what happens is that we are awakening Kundalini to Sahasrara. This is what happens during the process of meditation. In this case, that is why we have to constantly be conscious of inner, that means subjectivity. That means awareness of the prana being awakened from here and slowly levitating towards the udana has to be taking place. For this, an instrument, a method is that Om, chanting of this sound will create these functions of the pranas to develop and create these vibrations, and will create this formation. Is how it goes into the Stula Avastha and can identify it. So this is one of the methods in order to identify the or merging with the Lord. So from the Sukshmada, so how it is. So chanting of Om, when it starts Om, even though it starts from here, from the Apana. From Apana it begins and slowly travels through the Sushumna and gradually widening up and then concentrating to, it is slowly widening up and concentrating to Udana, and Udana which is already the position of the external, or the Stula Bhava, which is easily connected with the Stula Shariram. That's how it happens. That's why the chanting is starting from what happened? No? Expands, and then that expanded, the complete vibrational frequency is concentrated on Udana, which is exposed to the absolute Stulata, is how this chanting has to be done. Whether you do it even internally, it happens like that. That's why they are Andaryamam. Let's keep on going there. So he says, Swamiji emphasizes the power and glory of Om in bliss divine. His greatest compilation of spiritual essays are basically to live and to meditate, to inhale, to exhale, to sleep, to shelter in Om, he says. Om is that, again with that vibrational frequency. Even in the thought, the Om is there, chanting is going on, still the vibrational frequencies are effective to the mind. This will help in purification of the thoughts. A constant higher vibration of the lower consciousness will eliminate the thoughts forms which is intruding into the memories and the lower consciousness, leads to the higher consciousness, development of the higher consciousness. Then Bhagavan Maharshi says, Tataha pratyakvetanadhigamo apyantaraya bhavascha. Tataha, from the repetition of Om is gained Chetanadhigamo. Chetanadhigamo apyantaraya bhavascha. Is gained the enlightenment, introspection and elimination of all obstacles. This will help in removing all obstacles. Through meditation on Om, the highest of mantras, self-realization is possible. This is because the vibration of Om removes hindrances of path and leads to realization of the self, which exists with every individual. The obstacles that are created by various thought forms, which creates knots in Sushumna, disallowing the Apana, the Mooladhara chakra, that is the Kundalini energy or the Apana, transferring the energy from one point to the other, one chakra to the other. Because there are knots, this disallows it. Therefore, whatever produces at particular chakra, it comes and dilutes by itself. It's not allowed to go up. It's because of the negative thoughts or the thoughts which are not right for the progress of the lower consciousness. They are the obstacles. They are the knots. These knots have to be loosened and have to be taken out. In order to loosen these knots, the forceful application of travel of the prana will help. How to force it? Chanting of Om. That will be the forceful application of cleansing the Sushumna. When the Sushumna is cleansed, the Apana will easily flow through that and go to Dana and can reveal one. DHYANAM Samshaya Prasada Alasya Virati Bhranti Darshana Labdha Bhumi Kattvana Sthitattvani Chitta Vikshepaste Antarayana. Maharishi tells us about the various obstacles that creates the knots in our Sushumna and in our system, disallowing us to uplift ourselves, progress ourselves. What are they? Vyadhi. We know what is Vyadhi. Disease. Dis-at-ease. Is disease. Mano Vyadhi, Sharira Vyadhi. Vyadhi, various kinds are there. When you go into bifurcation, subtitles of Vyadhi, of Mano Vyadhi, somebody is doing well, the other getting jealous of it is Mano Vyadhi. Not comfortable. Vyadhi. Dis-at-ease, because somebody is progressing. I am not at ease because of somebody's progress. Dis-at-ease. Various functions that are there external to you, you are getting attracted to that, is why the diseases, mental diseases are there. Manovyadhi. You relate yourself to the external objective experiences. There you find the inferiority and superiority complexes. That's why it is complex, they called it. It's only a perception, it's only a thinking, it's only a imagination that, inferior and superior. Inferior and superior is what? It's only imagination that you create by yourself. Oh, I am inferior to that. Or so and so is inferior to that means that you are superior to that. So that also, it comes to you only. You evaluate yourself as superior and inferior, is why the complex, they call it, it's only a thought. It's only a feeling. That's why it is known as a feeling. It's a feeling that is created to you by you. You create certain data for that, parameters. You have all justifications for that. All justifications are absolutely worthless, false. It has no basis. Because nobody is inferior, nobody is superior. So the word inferiority itself is a psychic disorder. पागल बोलते हैं उसको in crude language. Who thinks about inferiority and superiority? I am so and so. Only if your voice is a little strong, then you can say that. I am so and so. This is inferior. You can relate to anything. You relate to wealth, I am superior. You relate to health, you are superior. You relate to so many other things, superior. None of them are superiority. The only superior is that who doesn't have any who is staying in the status of indifference is the one who is superior. And he himself doesn't call himself as superior. The others call him superior, as I told you last time. We all call Bhagwan as Bhagwan because he has got those qualities. Bhagwan never said, I am Bhagwan. Great Mahaguru, Mahatapasvi, Mahatjnani has never told, I am the Jnani. Others, because of their less jnanam, they identified the other has got a greater jnanam, so they identified him as a greater jnani. That is respect, that's okay. There is no complexity on that. In that, if you start feeling that I am smaller than him, then you start a comparison. A relative statement when it comes, then the complexities comes or the feeling comes. You can praise the other one. You can praise Bhagavan. Glories of Ishvara, they are prescribing in Shastras and Vedas. Glories of Bhagavan. Who can really glorify? The one who doesn't have ahankara. Ahankara in the sense, the one who doesn't have the inferiority and superiority complexes. They are also ahankara. Inferiority complex is also ahankara. Superiority is also ahankara. Both are ahankara. Oh, I am worthless, I have nothing to do. He wants sympathy from others. That is his ahankara. I am worthless, I cannot do it, I am useless. You see, what is my miserable state of condition? My nose is getting twisted. Looking for, boost up, ahankara. It's also ahankara. So ahankara, how it affects you, you don't know. It is very tricky. In both ways it is ahankara. So, mitashitoshna, labhanashta, bhavam. Where there is no labha, there is no nashta, there is no mitashitoshna, bhavam. There is no santosha, there is no santapa. Santosha, santapa avastha. Santapam is also a tapam. That is because of your only feeling. Yes, this is there in human beings. As I told you, in Vyavaharika Jivan, one has to undergo all this. We are only trying to understand how to reach the highest consciousness where these dualities don't prevail in us, and we come out of that, from the clutches of these dualities, and save ourselves to the right place, in the right position. Is why he said, what's that? Vyadhi, Asyana Samshaya, mental torpor. He spoke about disease as well as Sharira as well as the Mana. Manovyadhi, thinking of things. You are creating. Tomorrow is the biggest problem for the Mana. I have spoken about mind at length in number of sessions. Mind's problem is always what will happen tomorrow. That which is not seen, which is not imagined, which cannot be understood by the mind or intelligence. Intelligence cannot understand tomorrow. It's through inference it draws a conclusion of tomorrow, that's all. It doesn't have a firm base faith of tomorrow. It doesn't have a faith, doesn't have a firm idea, a firm opinion, a firm conviction about tomorrow or the future, what we call. They are imaginary, based on our experiences, that's all. Day before yesterday I was living, so yesterday I lived, and today I am living, so I should be living tomorrow. It's an inference drawn. There's no reality in it, absolutely. It's an imagination drawn, inference drawn from the previous experience we could. The tomorrow is estimated based on that. All our things. I will do it tomorrow. This will happen tomorrow. I can make it tomorrow. Manasika Vibhranti, they called it. In Sanskritam, they called it as Manasika Vibhranti. It's only a Vibhranti of Mana. Yes, something has to be done by the mind, so it keeps on. Something has to be there to bother, occupied. So we have to think. Best way to occupy is that to think about unknown. Is the best way to occupy. What is known is already known. Now I cannot make changes on that. No. But why mind is so tricky, you can think about that which is not known, so that you can keep making changes depending upon your moods and suitability, and then you can cry or laugh or sleep or wake up or walk or sit. It's why the mind is always very much interested in looking for future. Jyotishis have become great deal of importance because of that. Every moment, इसको देख के बताइए, इसको क्या है? जन्म तिथि ही गलत है इसका. तो तुम्हारा शनि दशा चल रहा है, जाओ. हो गया. Jyotish Shastra is totally different than what you are seeing today's Jyotisham. It's not that. Jyotisham is an Upaveda. Jyotisham is an Upaveda. Jyotirveda. There are certain calculations based on that. I think I have already told that in Chandogya Upanishad when we were taking, I think I told about the Jyotisha, how it is. What is the prakriti of the human nature? That can be identified at the point of time of birth. The planetary positions and vibrational frequencies that is prevalent in the cosmos can have an impact on the baby born at that particular point of time. It's not everything, it is only making its functions. No, it will, according to each and every one, according to his previous karmas, he will be taking birth according to that time. You may ask me that some people are doing surgery and bringing the child according to Tithi Dekar. Somebody sees, according to astrology, this date and this Tithi is very good, so so many people are there. They are doing surgery so that the child will be born at that Tithi. It's also according to its karma, but it is not necessarily that it is be according to that Shastra, what they have told. There is, even if there is what are we definitely seeing, 24 hours, let us consider, one Tithi. Out of that Tithi, I don't know much of Jyotisham, but some of the basic things I know to interpret it and explain it, that's all. Don't ask me detail of Jyotisham, I don't know. Every Tithi or every Rashi, they called it. The 2 and a quarter nakshatras as is called one Rashi. And in that Rashi, so there will be divided into 2 and quarter, every 2 and quarter. And in this 2 and quarter itself, now you can imagine in one day, how many 2 and quarters are there? So you have to divide that, 24 divided by 2 and quarter, how many are there? And each 2 and quarter has been divided into 4. Each 2 and quarter has been divided into 4. Prathama pada, Dvitiya pada, Tritiya pada, Chaturpada. Prathama pada will have an influence of the previous star and this star. Madhyama, that is Dvitiya and Tritiya pada, is of pure that star. Chaturpada will have the influence of the next star and this star. 50-50 of that. So, now you can imagine, you multiply it in that number of times, how many deviations are there. The surgery is taken place, surgeon in between wanted to have a cup of tea. Thoda ruko, let me have a sip of tea. By the time 1 minute is passed, Tithi has changed. I mean, the Rashi has changed. It has come to 4th pada. Influence of the other also has come inside. Do you know exactly what it is? automatically that which has been designed, which has been destined, or which has been designed, have automatically come there. What we call destined. That's a design created by the child before it is born. It has to be born at such and such. So its characteristics, what is Jyotisha? What is it showing actually? The nature, the Prakriti is, according to the karma, there are so many factors. According to the karma, according to the hormones, according to the chromosomes of the mother and father, the physical body's shape, and the influence energy, that is influence of the stars at that point of time, they have a cumulative effect on the child, and its form and shape will be according to that. Somebody is born at a particular shape and form, and they will grow at a particular shape and form. Everyone is different. They are all born according to their karma and their necessity to fulfill the karma. However you are that what is necessary for you to execute and experience your karma. That's all. Right or wrong according to, or good or bad, that you unnecessarily pursue. That's all. They are all born according to that. So with this, what happens? A prediction can be done only by a great Maharshi, Tapasvi, who can see by looking at his karma, his shape and form, by looking at his karma, and based on that karma, what is supposed to be being experienced in this Janma, and where this person is deviating can only be done through tapasya. Only a tapasvi can do it. By calculation, it cannot be done. By calculation, it can pursue, you can say that this person will be looking like this. If a person is looking like this, we can say that he is at a particular vibrational frequency, his eyesight will be weak, his ears will have problem, his stomach will have problem, he is according to Ayurveda, whether he comes on Vata, Pitta or Kapha, in which division he falls under. All these things can be identified very correctly by these calculations, by this. Absolutely, this is the Jyotisha. Prediction of Piyush. Many people have come to me saying that one Jyotishi has told that at the age of 22, my son will have a big accident. Can you see? I saw. On that day there is no car on the road because there was a band. No accident also. He is at home. The worst accident is that he can drop a glass on his own feet and then get hurt. That's the only accident can happen. Nothing has happened. This prediction cannot be done by normal people. It's not possible. But yes, this can be done by a tapasvi, by a jnani, by a rishi who knows the combination of your karma, planetary position, and your combination of these things together, chromosomes, father and mother together, with the body shape and mind and the creation property. You can identify this person, and then you can say that, okay, this can happen. Otherwise, just by calculation, even though they are predicting it, there are calculations. According to that, they reveal certain things. Certain things become right, certain things do not become right. It's what I know little bit about the Jyotisha. Why did I say this was about the mind, mana? Mind going into complicated things of the future and trying to get worried about tomorrow and the after, which we do not know. If you have to know, you should be going to a great person who knows, who can really see your future. Calculations of planetary position also can be seen in a person's. When you look at a person, you will know that which combination of planetary position is prevalent in that person at that point of time and when he was born. This can be known. Well, those things are right. When they were born, exact time or exact time has to be known. Then, as I told you, this Chaturpadas has to be discriminated very correctly. Then certain calculations are possible. Then we can say, according to this characteristics, these things can happen. What is very temperament is very, very hot temperament. Naturally, he will commit certain mistakes. What all mistakes he can commit, this can be seen and predicted. So, mana, mind getting occupied, preoccupied with, you see yourself, how your mind is being occupied in a day. You just analyze yourself. You will find 99% of the time it is worried or it is occupied, preoccupied on unknown objective things. Unknown. And where you do not have any control over that. When you take it as 100%. It is only 1% probably you will be applying on the presence and the activities that is going on. Because other things are ensured. Mana. That's why the mind has to be diverted. As I told you yesterday about that globe, mind as a globe. We have to orient it, crystallization, the clarity or transparency has to be created, and focusing towards that jnanam is necessary. Is mental torpor, doubt, samshayam. Samshayam is also another mental disease. It comes under mental disease only. As I told you, somebody is doing well, so I am unhappy. I am having a headache and stomach pain today. Why? Because the other man has become too rich, my neighbor. So I have a headache and stomach problem. The other man has become too rich. I cannot stomach it, I cannot head it also. Neither I can head nor I can stomach. This is why headache and the stomach ache. Doubt, samshayam, is also mano vyadhi. Samshayam. Suspicion. It's an imagination without knowing the facts. You may see that, here I spoke quite enough on this, my Reiki class as well as other pravachans in our Upanishad classes. That what is seen by the eyes are not necessarily has to be the fact. Most of the time it's not the fact. You might see something and you will imagine something. You will interpret it according to your own experience. Then you will conclude something. On that you will do samshaya. Samshaya is a rogam. That's again manasika roga. It's a great problem. Samshaya. For everything there is a samshaya. Samshaya is that it is not the doubt that we are talking about. When we are studying, there is a doubt arising that how it is to be done or how it is to be solved. It's not the doubt what we are talking about. Samshaya is that in the imaginary status of mind. Concluding without knowing the facts. Suppose we are listening to the Upanishad now. You may require clarification. That doubt is different. It is not clear. Clarity is not there. You may need clarifications of that. That you can have. You should have. You should clarify yourself. You should understand it properly. I didn't understand that word properly. I must understand it properly. It's okay. That doubt is okay. The doubt, one word, it is difficult. That's why samshaya is that. Here, clarity. Clarity is that what is necessary. The other one is doubt, establishing the doubt. Samshayam is only by imagination of you. You are not checked with it. If you check with them, then the samshaya is not there. Either you will know it is guilty or it is not guilty. Suppose something is there. You check with that person or with that incident or with that environment. You check with it. You will clarify it. Once you are clear, there is no question of doubt. Samshaya is not there. Samshaya comes only when you don't clarify it. Then samshaya. Even in the studies also. Brahman. Brahman is that, it can be that. If you don't understand it properly, you will create your own contemplation and you will have samshaya. Is it really there or not? You have to clarify whether it is really there or not. There are so many ways that it can be proved it is there. But Your mind has to accept it. You have to have. Everything cannot be seen, everything cannot be experienced, everything cannot be heard, everything cannot be touched and understood. Only those which are there in the material world, material life, that only can be experienced by the sensory system. Those which are beyond sensory system cannot be understood or analyzed through the intelligence. It has to be believed, that faith. And it is that faith which will lead you towards the clarity of mind. Otherwise the mind will always remain in the samshaya. If you remain in the material living, vyavaharika jivan, it will keep on having samshaya only. In order to have the status of nissamshaya, nirahankarata, nirvikarata, nirakarata has to be there. So nissamshaya will be there. Where there is no scope of samshayam. Samshayam is coming, it is because of the interpretation by your intelligence, and your intelligence is functioning based on your previous experiences, karmas. Based on particular experience only, you analyze everything. Mango is a particular shape, you know it. You have seen varieties of mangoes in that shape. Yesterday, day before yesterday, I saw a mango which has got violet color, which I have never seen. Now I cannot imagine that. Can you imagine? You cannot imagine. When I say mango, you picturize only those mangoes which you have seen. Same way, when you listen to something, you will analyze it only with the experiences that you already have in your vocabulary, in your dictionary. And they are all based on your experiences. They are all based on your karma experiences, which brought you to take rebirth in this Janma. So you know how it is. What's the use of depending on that? You should not depend on that. Then, as I told you, every moment it has to be different. How we can know that? No, that's why we have to acquire this Brahma-jnanam, which is beyond. That's why samshayam. Samshaya is only a doubt which is created by your imagination, by not having the clear concept of the incident or person or environment or instances, is why the samshayam happens. What is samshaya? Samshaya is that which is not clear. Clarity is not there. If there is no clarity, what you should do? Clear it. Simple. So samshaya will not be there. But otherwise what will happen? Samshaya will lead to lot of complications. Samshaya will develop, you will multiply samshaya every day, depending upon new karmas, and you will derive a form and shape of samshaya into a beautiful, unwanted element which can throttle you during sleep. Samshayam will kill. That's why Bhagavan said in the Chandogya Upanishad, he said, or many Upanishads he has told, Samshayatma vinashyate. What's the result of Samshayatma? Samshayatma vinashyate. There is no other. Finish. That's only. Samshayam. Indifference. We all know that indifference, samshaya. Pramadam. Not interested in anything is also not good. You have to be interested in indifference. मर गया ठीक है, ये जब जीत गया ठीक है. Nothing, not interested in anything. It's a dull-minded person. Not indifference in the spirituality I am talking. This is about the obstacles I am talking about. Obstacles to meditation is what we are talking about. The one who has got indifference. There has to be a difference. That's why they said that power of discrimination has to be there, he said. A discriminative power should be there, then only you can attain the highest consciousness. So indifference, laziness, that of course we all have. If Brahman can come while I am lying down on my bed, Sitting is too strenuous, back aches. While lying down, the Brahman should come and sit beside me and tell, hey, the Brahman is here for you to have the vision of me. Please do that so that I can go. Is what we all want. I was talking to somebody, you should do Om chanting and recently, Om chanting and meditation in the early morning. Samshayam, Putane. Immediately Samshayam has come. Is it okay if I chant at about evening 5 o'clock? Listen, why are you specified about evening 5 o'clock? I'm talking about morning 5 o'clock, you're talking about evening 5 o'clock. Morning getting up is a big problem. Getting up, laziness. You want to conclude, you want to change. When I am saying it has to be done at this time, you just say, yes, it is done. It has to be done. Now a question of laziness comes in that. Now, how to get up so early in the morning? To get up, that you have to find out. How are you getting up at 7 o'clock? The same preponement of 7 o'clock can be done at the same activity of holding your hand like this and pressing on the bed and then lifting yourself up and sitting on your bum and then getting up. Can be done at 5 o'clock also. Is what I have to explain. Sorry. I just jokingly. Laziness is a big problem. We all have this. Meditation to laziness. Baad mein karenge. We'll do it tomorrow. Only for eating also sometimes, some people, for eating also there is laziness. Somebody had to feed them. Okay. You know about laziness much. I don't have to explain it. Craving for pleasure, that of course. Asakti, vasana or asakti. It's called craving for pleasure. You can have pleasure during living. These things will happen. You enjoy the pleasure, no doubt about it. When there is a breeze, you enjoy the breeze, no doubt about it. That is not restricting you from brahmacharya. Craving for that is a problem. Craving for that pleasure, craving for any pleasure, is called asakti or vasana. Vasana comes out of experience. Again, it is because of experience. We would like to repeat the experience that has been enjoyed by me some time back, is called craving for that. Craving is that. Without that I cannot. With that only I can. With that I can do better. With that I want it. Without that I cannot have that. Craving of pleasure. Various pleasures are there. We are all crave for all the pleasures. So, somebody wants money, somebody wants health, somebody wants wealth, somebody wants some other thing, material pleasure, somebody wants spiritual pleasure, even spiritual pleasure. So that also, craving for that or craving, that is asakti towards that, or vasana towards that is definitely bad. Any vasana will lead you towards the problem. That pleasure will turn to, any pleasure attained through asakti will always lead to pain. Then comes pramadam, alasyam, virati, delusion. Then comes inability, and inability to practice. We know the delusion is, we know. Inability to practice, we know. Whatever may be the cause, inability to practice and maintain concentration. Not able to focus on one thing, maintain concentration. Restlessness of mind due to distractions. That is very much there. During meditation or something, distractions. Distraction due to maybe my thought, my environments, my external or internal. There are both distractions are there. Either so many thoughts come, that also distraction, or external disturbances are also distraction. So any distraction. These are all the obstacles for your proper tapasya. The body is not healthy, cosmic consciousness cannot be reached. The practice of asanas and pranayama, what sort of diseases helps maintain to pranayam, meditation, chanting of Om, disciplined way of living brahmacharyatvam will lead you to avoid the obstacles created by any strong externalities or internalities, no doubt about it. Constant practice of it, constant listening, constant shravanam, constant mananam. Be in that, as I told you, you have to sink inside that. Then only you can really do that. Okay. I think we'll stop here. Next. 31st